So, a very good afternoon once again, everyone, and welcome to today's session on psychosocial support interventions in emergencies, strategies, and techniques for effective. No, we are following this series as a follow up to our national POT, which we did. The sessions that we are conducting right now.
You are not audible.
Oh,
Your audio is very low. Can you increase this?
sure. I can speak loudly. Is it better?
Yeah, better.
Yeah. Yeah. So as I was saying, these sessions are a follow-up to the national TOT that we have been doing. And for the past three sessions, we delved deeper into the psychosocial support strategies that we can provide specifically to children, to persons with disabilities, and to women. We have a session more coming on elderly. With this session, we have amazing who are experts in the field of psychosocial support and disaster management. As we all know, in times of emergencies and crisis, the importance of psychosocial support cannot be overstated. It is a crucial element in helping individuals and communities cope up with emotional, psychological, and social impacts of disaster. And today we have the privilege of delving into the crucial insights from professionals who have dedicated their careers in the field. And it's with all pleasure I would like to invite our first speaker, uh, who is an additional professor in the Department of Psychosocial Support in Disaster Management at NIMHANS. Brings a wealth of knowledge and experience. Dr. Jayakumar C has been instrumental in advancing research and practices in psychosocial support interventions during emergencies. We would like to welcome you to the session, sir. We also have our second speaker, Dr. Bala Shanti, who is serving as a project coordinator in the Department of Psychosocial Support in Disaster Management at NIMHANS. She has been actively involved in implementing and coordinating various projects aimed at providing psychosocial support in the aftermath of disaster. We are really looking forward to the session. I would also like to welcome our participants, who we all know that you all are professionals, might be in middle of your work, but thank you all for joining us, finding time to increase the capacities in the field. And I'm really looking forward to the session, and I would like to hand it over to both of the speakers.
Yeah, thank you, Hannah, for that introduction. And all of you there, my friends there who are joining from different parts of the country, very happy New Year to you. This is this year's first program, and I also actually compliment Spear India, Mr. Vikrant Mahajan, and his team, Michelle and Anna, for taking up this initiative and carrying it forward. And unfortunately, I missed the national TOT due to my foreign assignment that time. And this time, actually, that somehow actually that I will be able to join, because again, day after tomorrow I'll be out. So that is how actually that anyway this time actually that has come for us to actually meet. And with me, my colleague is there, Dr. Shanti is there, who is seated next to me. And also there is another person here, many of you have seen him. Alan. Alan had come to TOT in Delhi, so he is also with me. He's a scholar here, and along with me, two more my colleagues, young colleagues are there. Kanan and Sandhya is also joining me here. So before I dwell into that topic of this session, psychosocial support strategies and how compassionately we can provide. Since you have already attended a TOT, I just quickly want to do a review. I mean, participants, I don't know how many of you are there, but just want to know what are all the things you can recall it, because it's been a time, some time actually that we have done TOT. Of course, you are all actually into your own tasks. And so let us actually start with the quickly recall some of the points only I would like to. I'm not checking your recalling capacity, but just to actually put all of us into a perspective before actually we enter into this topic. So that is one aspect. And second is, I would also like to hear from you what is that you expect from this session on this topic. So if you could actually come up with a very precisely what is that you want, so we will be able to actually discuss those things. Let us keep it as a discussion. Let us not actually keep it as a presentation from our side also. So let us be a little more interactive and yeah, please go ahead. Actually, that what is that you are able to recall? Anybody? Nobody.
So we request participants to turn on your mics, turn on your video cameras and answer. And if that is becoming difficult, you could also post it in the text box, chat box. As far as this session goes on providing effective and compassionate care for victims of disasters and emergencies, you've already had a full-length session last July. Last July, no?
My team
Last
would have
July.
come, Rajamani and Alan would have come and spent some 3 days or 5 days.
5 days.
5 days with you. So, I mean, just a recall before we discuss. Kindly feel free. This is not a test or exam, just to actually put all of us into, even I was not there. I'm also, I mean, at least you are all actually were there. And I'm a stranger. Myself and Shanti are strangers here. Anybody? Or
What?
Hannah, did you muted their mic, or they are willing? I mean, they're trying to talk and you muted their mic.
No, not really, sir. So they can.
Okay.
Somebody has written, we didn't attend either.
Okay.
Okay, somebody has said that they haven't attended.
Dr. Ida, this is about the session that we had in Delhi. If you can remember, it happened on July.
Yeah. How many of them attended among the participants?
So all our participants have attended. There are few who have not currently who's attending this, but
That's it.
many of them. So I think just to start the discussion, so in the initial days we talked about, we started with actually a class on disaster management,
Mm-hmm.
activities to understand the importance of psychosocial care,
Okay.
also in understanding the vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
I asked, can that's what I can remember from the first day.
Right.
If anybody wants to take it ahead.
Yeah. I mean, that's all I want actually. That first, I mean, so they have covered the disaster management, the basics, the structure, the system, everything in the very first day. Yeah, right. So that's exactly I want from others. क्या क्या बात किया है ये लोग उधर आकर 5 दिन आपके साथ था, तो उस टाइम में एक्चुअली ये लोग क्या क्या बात किया है, एक दो चीज एक्चुअली आप बता सकते हैं तो अच्छा होता है आगे बढ़ने के लिए.
If I can maybe come in, though I was more part of the organizing team, but we
Right.
were also part of the sessions, and it was a new learning opportunity for us also. So maybe I'll do a quick sharing since Hannah give context about the first day. I think day 2 was when we progressed towards different sections of population or different people, where very briefly, like we did discuss about how the disasters are disproportionately impacting women.
Right.
There was a very interesting session on gender, though it was
Right.
more about the impact of disasters on women rather than how we can provide support to them. And there were also a lot of interesting discussions about how to do how to kind of refer critical cases further, when it is when
Right.
can a psychosocial care provider should be intervening, in the sense taking something, taking up any legal action. So that was one interesting learning or takeaway for me that I can
Right.
recall.
Right.
And then I think towards the end of it, we also talked about caring for children, how it's like different for them, where we had some specific sessions revolving around art therapy, and there was an interesting exercise that I think we
Okay.
did about feelings and all of that. I
Okay.
think Dr. Ada would like to share next. Please, over to you guys.
Okay, Nupurji, excellent. I mean, you have brought in many issues which you have seen and discussed and participated. Excellent, and that's exactly I want actually that, because let us actually get into that. Yeah, please. Anybody else?
सर सर मैं थोड़ा सा बताना चाह रहा
हाँ,
हूँ
बताइए बताइए।
मैं द्वारिका हूँ उत्तराखंड से
हाँ,
सर मैं उसमें काफी कुछ डिटेल में चीजें बताई गई थी और डिजास्टर कितने तरह के होते हैं उस पर डिस्कशन हुआ था
हम्म,
2 टाइप्स के डिजास्टर नेचुरल एंड मैन मेड डिजास्टर के ऊपर बात हुई थी और डिजास्टर की और 4 तरह के डिजास्टर की बात हुई थी
हाँ
उसमें
जी,
जियोलॉजिकल मेट्रोलॉजिकल हाइड्रोलॉजिकल और बायोलॉजिकल डिजास्टर के ऊपर बातचीत हुई थी इसके अलावा बहुत तरह की और एक्टिविटीज भी उसमें हुई थी जिसमें सब लोगों ने हमें काफी फ्रूट वेजिटेबल ग्रेन और फ्लावर को लेके अलग अलग तरह के गेम्स भी करवाए थे
ओके,
और उसके अलावा अलग अलग तरह की जो सेकेंड डे में है उसमें डिफिकल्टीज क्या क्या होते हैं उसमें बात हुई थी
हाँ
और
जी,
अलग अलग कैटेगरी बनाई थी कि एल्डरली के लिए अलग से बनाया था और अलग अलग टाइप के लोगों को कौन किस तरह से उनमें ट्रीट कर सकता है वो सारी चीजें डिटेल में बताई गई थी और उसमें एक फैमिली लाइफ सर्कल टाइप का बात हुई थी कि जो न्यूली मैरिड कपल है
हाँ जी,
उनके साथ कैसे कर सकते हैं न्यू बॉर्न अगर बेबी है तो कैसे कर
हर एक
सकते हैं
साइकिल में क्या क्या चैलेंजेस है, क्या क्या उधर तनाव आ
सर
जाता
क्या
है
क्या
उसमें।
बिल्कुल सर तो और अलग अलग टाइप के रोल प्लेज भी वहाँ पे हुए थे
हाँ जी,
और जेंडर सेंसिटिविटी के लेके भी बातचीत हुई थी तो
हम्म,
बहुत सारी इस तरह की चीजों पे डिटेल में वहाँ पे बातचीत हुई थी
ओके,
जी और उसमें 4 डिसेबिलिटीज को लेकर भी बात हुई 4 अलग अलग तरह के लोग थे जो अलग अलग जैसे मेंटली चैलेंज हैं फिजिकली चैलेंज हैं डीफ एंड डम हैं विजुअली इम्पेयर्ड हैं उन सब चीजों को लेके उनकी क्या क्या दिक्कतें होती है और कैसे उनके साथ में हम डिजास्टर के दौरान बातचीत कैसे की जा सकती है कैसे उनकी हेल्प कर सकते हैं उस तरह की डिटेल को लेकर भी बातचीत हुई थी
एक्सलेंट।
इस तरह की काफी बहुत डिटेल में हुआ था उसमें बहुत सारी चीजें थी लेकिन
तो
अभी
बहुत
जितना
सारे,
याद आ
हाँ,
रहा
तो
है उस
आपको
पर मैं
बता
आपको
दिया
बता
है, बहुत सारे चीज एक्चुअली आप भी बताया है। और आप
जी
कहाँ से, उत्तराखंड में कहाँ से बोल रहे हैं आप?
सर उत्तराखंड में वैसे हमारा जो ऑफिस है वो देहरादून में है लेकिन मैं अभी बहुत इंटीरियर में जो यहाँ का जिला है चमोली चमोली
चमोली,
जिले
ओके,
में जी नंदप्रयाग के पास एक
वो नंदप्रयाग के
ब्लॉक
पास
है
है आप?
नंदानगर घाट एक ब्लॉक
ओके,
है
ओके,
वहाँ पे अभी मैं इस समय करंटली वहाँ पे हूँ
बढ़िया
ये भी
है।
बहुत
और
डिजास्टर प्रोन एरिया है सर
हाँ,
यहाँ पर भी
चमोली,
हर साल जी
चमोली तो सब जानते हैं क्या हुआ है। और
जी
आप ऐसे क्षेत्र से आप बोल रहे हैं और बढ़िया रिकॉल किया है, धन्यवाद
जी
आपके
सर
लिए।
अभी जोशीमठ के नजदीक है सर हमारा यहाँ से जोशीमठ लगभग 50 किलोमीटर का एरिया है
ओके,
जी थैंक यू सो मच
थैंक यू सो मच। एनीबडी एल्स?
Yeah, hi, good afternoon. Can you hear me, please?
Yeah, very well.
Okay, in between, I lost the connection, maybe due to network. I'm Dr. Aida. calling from, I'm talking from Mysore,
Okay, Mysore.
Karnataka. Yeah.
Okay.
I do not know whether my colleagues really shared the experience. As I said, I wasn't able to communicate. So, if I want to recall my experience, I would rather really highlight on the assessment and evaluation part during the disaster management process, like post disaster, how we have to assess, what domains we have to assess, and what are the psychological supports along with other like social and physical and components. These things were highlighted, and I really felt that was good to take with us as learned something new.
Okay, very good, very
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, fine. I think some of you have spoken and could recall actually जो क्या हुआ है उधर. With this हम शुरू करते हैं. हम वापस में बिगिनिंग से नहीं जाएगा. जो भी हुआ है सब तो जानते हैं. आपदा मतलब क्या है, आपदा में क्या होता है, कौन कौन पीड़ित होता है और क्या क्या लक्षण है, और वो लक्षण को हम कैसे पहचान सकते हैं, और पहचानने के बाद उसको एक्चुअली हम लोग कैसे उसको मदद कर सकते हैं, क्या क्या तरीके के मदद मिल सकता है इनको, और कहाँ इनको एक्चुअली वो मदद को एक्चुअली हम कर सकते हैं. किसी किसी कहाँ कहाँ से ये मदद को वो रिसोर्सेस है उसको आइडेंटिफाई कर सकते हैं, रेफर कर सकते हैं. और उसके साथ साथ डॉक्टर आइडा ने बोला था और उसको कैसे हम असेस भी कर सकते हैं. तो ऑलमोस्ट एक्चुअली जनरली हो गया है. तो इधर हम थोड़ा विस्तार से एक्चुअली हम लोग चर्चा करेंगे क्या क्या चीज से एक्चुअली तरीके से इनको हम मदद करना पड़ेगा. हम सब जानते हैं डिजास्टर एक मल्टी डायमेंशनल इवेंट है, और इधर ज़रूरत ही एक्चुअली बहुत ज़्यादा हो जाता है, और कई कई तरीके से एक्चुअली मदद का ज़रूरत होता है. अगर हम लोग देखा तो एक फ्लावर फ्लावर का पेटल होता है ना, वैसे एक्चुअली बहुत डायरेक्शंस होता है पेटल, फ्लावर का पेटल. तो एक एक डोमेन्स में एक्चुअली उसका ज़रूरत होता है. इधर बायोलॉजिकल शारीरिक होता है, इधर मानसिक होता है, इधर सामाजिक होता है, इधर आर्थिक होता है, इधर स्पिरिचुअलिटी होता है, तो इधर एक्चुअली कुछ लाइवलीहुड होता है. तो बहुत सारा ज़रूरतियाँ आ जाता है. तो मैं पहले ही बताया था डिजास्टर्स एक मल्टी डायमेंशनल इवेंट है. तो इधर एक्चुअली मदद भी एक्चुअली मल्टी सेक्टोरल से कर सकते हैं, बिकॉज नीड्स भी मल्टीपल लेवल्स में नीड्स होता है. द एस्केलेशन लेडर एक्चुअली जो हम देखते हैं डिजास्टर्स में, आपदा में भी एक्चुअली ये एस्केलेशन लेडर्स होता है. क्यों है, पहले 72 आवर्स और वॉट एवर द रेस्क्यू पीरियड में ज़रूरतियाँ अलग होता है, और फिर रिलीफ पीरियड में ज़रूरतियाँ अलग होता है, और फिर रिहैबिलिटेशन में अलग होता है. तो ये हर एक आपदा के आपदा चेंज होता है, और उसका मैग्नीट्यूड मैग्नीट्यूड जितना बड़ा है उतना उधर एक्चुअली ज़रूरतें ज़्यादा होता है, और उतना ज़्यादा मानसिक असर भी एक्चुअली उधर ज़्यादा हो जाता है. साथ साथ दूसरा ज़रूरतियाँ भी आ जाता है. तो मल्टी सेक्टर्स भी आ जाता है. तो साइको सोशल केयर, मानव सामाजिक मदद, ये मानव सामाजिक मदद को कैसे हम कर सकते हैं, क्या क्या तरीका है. मेरा मित्र एक्चुअली उधर आकर आपसे बात किया होगा. कहीं कहीं एक्चुअली जो साधारण स्थिति पे जो एक्चुअली समाज में एक्चुअली कैसे ये टेक्निक्स को हम कर सकते हैं, ये जो भी पीड़ित होता है उनके साथ. तो वही एक्चुअली हम लोग देखते हैं वाले हैं. तो फर्स्ट एंड फॉरमोस्ट क्या है इधर, मल्टी सेक्टोरल के बाद क्या हो जाता है, और इसको एक्चुअली इंटीग्रेट करना पड़ेगा. ओ इंग्लिश, आई मीन यू वांट मी टू स्विच ऑल्टरनेटिव मिक्स.
Yeah, a bit of English and Hindi. I think we have, no, we do have participants from the south. I'm not sure.
South India.
Like if
No.
everybody is
And Northeast,
yeah,
yeah.
northeast also.
Okay, fine. So
दोनों
otherwise
लैंग्वेज चलेगी,
I'll
कोई
switch
बात
to English, and whenever people have any difficulty, you can always request me to actually switch to Hindi, right? So disaster is a multi-dimensional event. The requirements are it multiplies. It is at multiple level, and multi sectors actually comes and actually responds and provides care and services in any disasters. So the first point of actually psychosocial support here, the first thumb rule of any disaster is that we need to integrate psychosocial care into this multi-sectoral aspects. So whether it is a government side, or whether it is a non-government side, or whether it is for the different population, or whether it is a different geography, it is based on the different vulnerability requirements. For example, poor, for example, migrants, for example. So all these things are vulnerabilities, people who are in the vulnerable situations, or people geographically also vulnerable. Like my friend was talking about Chamoli is a landslide prone area, and Uttarakhand as such is actually prone to avalanches, landslides, flash floods, all those things. So it is also depends upon. So first and foremost is integrating this psychosocial component, because psychosocial component is actually a cross-cutting area of care. So it cuts across the disaster, it cuts across the event, it cuts across the population, it cuts across the intervention. So first and foremost, we need to be very clear actually that providing psychosocial care, you need not wait for actually somebody has to call you. Some health department people has to call you, or somebody will come and tell you actually that the people who are actually psychologically affected. For example, I will again go into, I don't know from which, what are the regions our participants are. That is why actually I told you actually that I can connect, since we have worked in all over India in most of the disasters. I can actually give you live examples of this. Now, since only one person spoke to me, I'm going to Uttarakhand only. So I will again and again. So that is exactly actually that I wanted to make it as a very interactive. If you could told me actually that who you are and where are you from. So Uttarakhand, this is actually the integration of the things which I was talking about. So you need actually, there will be a hazard risk vulnerability analysis of district disaster management plan. Our state disaster management plan actually covers the entire state, and the district disaster management plan covers actually at the every district. So in that, for example, Uttarakhand, he was talking about Chamoli. So since I worked in Guptakashi, Rudraprayag, and those Uttarakasi, and this side actually, this dam side. So every district actually has a hazard risk vulnerability mapping. So we need to actually look into actually that whether it is a population is actually at the risk, or actually what are all the surrounded by, what are all the hazards, whether it is a dam, whether it is actually the hills, whether it is a landslide prone area, or whether it is avalanche prone area, whether it is actually a flash floods, or so all these things actually must have listed. So you need to actually start looking at actually that before itself, before the disaster happens itself, you should actually have a little bit of understanding about these things. So one, and another thing is that okay, we have a participants currently from
Kerala, Uttarakhand, Chhattisgarh, and
Karnataka,
all over pan India.
Chhattisgarh.
Okay, so I
Delhi-
will
Delhi
take.
also.
I'll take. So we need to actually look into this DDMP requirements and understand, so that if there is actually any disaster, you people actually are very clear about where to go and whom to actually focus and target. So first and foremost, you need to be aware of what is actually the position of that place and situation of the place of the people, and then if it is there or not. For example, some of the state governments have incorporated, many of the state governments have incorporated psychosocial care as one of the primary component of disaster management, be it mitigation, be it response, relief, rehabilitation, reconstruction, and everything. But some of the states are actually lagging behind. I'm not talking about that. So first understand that. You need to actually understand that whether it is there or not. If it is there, fine, you need to go into the next level. If it is not there, somewhere actually that you need to actually facilitate, or whoever is by the government side or NGO side or somewhere, you have that. For NGO side, for example, Spear India has a IAG. So every disaster happens, this IAG actually comes and closely works with the district collectorate or DC office or DM's office. Depends upon the region they call it. So that is how actually that it works actually that. So that is the integration is important component. Second is, who is actually going to ask for psychosocial care in any disaster? Usually the district collector, the deputy commissioner or deputy district magistrate. So these people are the incident commander of the district. And usually the district under the incident commander, different multi-sectors actually comes into play. and they actually formulate an action plan or a response plan. So in that, whether actually that this component is included or not, in that all the NGOs, IAGs, Spare India, everybody, institutions, everybody will be there. So there actually the second one. There is one point we need to be noted. For psychosocial care, the Department of Health is actually the nodal department. And along with that, will be line departments like Women and Child Development, Department of Social Welfare, Department of Education, Department of Fisheries. Why fisheries? For Uttarakhand, fisheries department may not be of any relevance, but for Kerala it is a relevance. For Tamil Nadu it is a relevance. For Karnataka, which has actually a long coastal geography located, and vast population is actually inhabiting in these places, and they are very prone to disasters, whether it is cyclone, whether it is floods, whether it is sea erosion, or whether it is any type of things. So those people, so like this, line departments will be there. Roughly 13 line departments are there in most of the disasters. It includes actually revenue. Revenue will be actually the almost the nodal for this, because this is coming under Department of Revenue Commissioner and disaster management. So they will be actually coordinating overall relief and compensation and all those things, rehabilitation. But under that, so a call can come from health department. If the call is not coming, you have to approach the health department. There are certain people are there, certain people are there. So we are willing to actually provide psychosocial care, and we have volunteers who are trained on it. We have professionals who are trained on it. So it can be actually taken. So that is one way of actually looking at that. Other than that, there are a number of institutions are there. For example, DMHP teams are there in every district mental health program teams. So those people are already actually working there on a mental health, comprising of multidisciplinary professionals. So they will actually take over. Actually, they will be already doing that. So you can tag along with them. That is another way of it. Another way of doing it is actually that even the next level is that there may be institutions. So institutions, local institutions, maybe Department of Psychiatry, Department of Social Work or Psychology, or some mental health institutions. For example, somebody, if you are from Gujarat, then BM Institute is there in Ahmedabad, or Uttarakhand. When I was there in Kedarnath, Badrinath, hardly there was only one psychiatrist for entire Uttarakhand. And he actually was based in Dehradun. So nobody was there in the hills when all these things happened. So he can't actually live here because he has a patients and others to follow. So we need to bring in some outsiders. So then the local neighboring states, professionals, everybody comes into play. And at the national level, like NIMANS is actually Government of India's nodal. We have a mandate of responding all over India and the entire South Asia and Southeast Asia as far as Papua New Guinea. This side and this side is Africa, and this side is actually till Philippines. So that these mandates are actually different. My point here is that you have to be clear actually that who will actually you are going to work by providing psychosocial care. So in that, all this civil defense, first responders, police, and all this medical response team, anybody actually you can tag along. You need not be only with the health professionals. You can tag along with anybody, but health department will be nodal. So that is actually this one. So after integrating, going along with them, so you need to actually go and identify. So how you will identify these people? So identification is, like I said, your HRV analysis, and the DC office will bring out actually who is affected, not affected. So you have to actually go on target who is actually most vulnerable. So like a triage we have a medical triage, whom to provide the priority care, whom not to provide actually the immediate care, who the step actually that is actually there. So there is a ladder of actually interventions according to the priority of the people's requirement we provide. So here also actually that you need to actually prioritize. So first and foremost, if you are providing a psychosocial care, you need to actually go and provide psychosocial care to the most vulnerable. So obviously there is children, very large population. India is actually a young country, so large amount of youth and children are here. So they are actually one of the major population. Second is the elderly. So that is actually geriatric population. For example, Kerala, some of my friends are from Kerala. 2018 floods. One of the unique phenomenon actually which we came across in Kerala is many of the elderly population were alone because their daughter is married and settled in Delhi, or in son is working in Dubai, or the entire family is actually out of staying in other state. They were living alone. So there were actually large amount of helplessness, hopelessness, and uncertainty about that. It is just not there. Recent Chennai floods, some 3 weeks or for 1 month back in Michung, the same thing happened. My sons and daughters are actually other state or US, and I am alone here. I don't know what to do. So this Kerala actually brought out actually that this phenomenon of requirement, psychosocial care. So you need to actually understand actually the demography of the place and the population. In that, children are priority, elderly are priority, and disabled people with disabilities. So this is a one population which, in spite of many things in the paper, but not intervened or provided adequate care and support during the disasters. So that is actually the other, this is third population. Fourth is adolescent population. Then women who are single women, women who are actually, then there are people who are actually already ill. Because one of the important aspect is that disaster disrupts everything. So you need to actually focus on people who are actually with illness, both physical illness as well as mental illness. So this may be actually get exacerbated, or actually that they are not. During the COVID, we could see actually that this phenomenon was occurring, cutting across the world, where people who are in medication for cancer or some diabetic or some other ailments, where suddenly abruptly actually their treatments were stopped. They were not able to access to their medications or any other medical procedures. And also actually that the disabled populations were actually in need of assistive gadgets. I mean, scratches and even for anything. So it's going to be, these are all the people actually you need to target. So focus on the needy, including the migrants. During the COVID, so many migrants were actually left to actually fend for themselves. They had to walk. Some of them walked from, many of them walked from South India to North India. So all these things actually happen. So other than the traditional vulnerable people, you need to actually look at this new set of actually vulnerable people, like marginalized people, LGBT communities. So this is one of the areas actually that Nimans worked in this COVID very extensively across the nation, and especially actually initiated many such programs for LGBT community in how to, because they were isolated already, and COVID actually isolated further. So it's a double disaster for them, actually, COVID-19 for the LGBT community. So you need to identify and start initiating your care processes. So this is why I'm talking about this understanding, is that everybody talks about techniques, but whom to go and provide, how to go and provide. So that is exactly that. So this is actually some of the things you need to identify and start actually intervening with the survivors. And also actually that among the survivors, I mean the populations, there may be certain populations who are hidden also. It may not be actually coming into forefront. They are actually adult population, especially the men. Usually in our society, we take actually that men are very strong. They're supposed to be strong, and they should not cry. They should withstand anything. They can't be actually feeble. They can't be actually. So this is the one population which is by for default actually, I mean, left out. So we more focus psychological care to only all this vulnerable population, whereas a man who must have lost actually lakhs of money, crores of money, he has to feed the entire family, he has to pay his debts, or he has to actually pay for the school fees, and he has to get married his daughters. or he may have to actually spend for, so more pressure may be on him, but this guy is actually being left out. Because I'm a person, I'm a male, I'm not talking about males, but this is this one glaring negligence which happens in most of the disasters, because you are focusing on all these people. So that is one. So, and added to that, actually, that one of the important aspect immediately what you have to do is, so these are all some of the avenues you have to actually look into it. So I will just stop it. You have any questions, then I'll continue.
Hi, sir. If I may come in. So, I just wanted to understand. So, the kind of people we are trying to reach out through these regional trainings are actually these ground level organizations who are working directly with the community, and they are usually the first ones to respond while providing different relief and relief to the affected community. And these are the people we envision are kind of trained to provide this basic psychosocial care to the community. While you did mention about a lot of institutions that are present at district and local level whose mandate is to provide the care and for local organizations to collaborate and partner with. So I just wanted to understand, what role do you think these organizations, these volunteers who are already with the community, like how can they go ahead and provide psychosocial care to the affected people? Like, what is it that they should be keeping in mind? What kind of collaborations or they should be trying to establish at national level? So what can these very ground level and grassroots organizations and volunteers do?
Okay, may I know who is on the mic?
This is Nupur.
Okay. Nupur, that was a very pertinent question. The thing is, at the grassroots level, we need to actually look into what are all the grassroots level institutions which we can actually collaborate in an event of a disaster. First thing actually comes to our mind is Panchayat Raj institutions. So, for example, I would recall Kerala floods. Kerala has the country's strongest Panchayat Raj system in the country. They are very strong, they are very proactive, and they are very aware, and they are more empowered and skilled to actually take care of it. So when the Kerala floods happened, most of the relief and rehabilitation work, including psychosocial care, were provided by the people who are Panchayat Raj members in Kerala. So you have actually resources already there who handles day-to-day issues of people and the community, and you don't require them to actually sensitize what is the people's problem, survivors' problem. If you bring in some other professionals or somebody, they may require actually some form of orientation, whereas the Panchayat Raj members or this group is one actually golden group, actually you have it. And again, I would like to recall Kerala experiences of us working there. Like Kerala has many of the grassroots level functionaries. Like every state has a ashas. Ashas are actually one resources which is put into work in every situation, whether it is a disaster or whether it is a census, whether it is a polio, whether it is a anything. Actually, they come. But the issue is that they have such an understanding about community, family, and the individual of that place. So they are supposed to actually work. So your resources need to tie up with the Panchayat Raj institutions members, Ashas. Again, I will recall actually the Kerala the way they intervene. They have actually Kudumbashri. There is actually a program which actually talks about for the women. So the Kudumbashri actually knows about the localities, families, the women, their requirements, everything. So the Kudumbashri volunteers were actually proactively involved in providing psychosocial care during the Kerala floods. Like they also have actually Kaval program that is actually essentially works with children in difficult circumstances. I mean, all these things actually Kaval and all were initiated by NIMANS only for the Kerala government. So those people were actually immediately sent to provide care and support to the children. So the Kudumbashri were actually started actually intervening with the women. Then Anganwadi workers everywhere, every state has there. Like in Uttarakhand, actually, we actively involved Anganwadi workers in reaching out because they are from that place. So let us actually identify overall their actually internal resources of the community and NGOs, grassroots. So these grassroots level workers, the community which whom we are talking, are the nerve centers for psychosocial care. So they need to actually tie up with this local, this one. And one more example I would recall in Mangalore, sometime back in 2010, there was actually a air crash happened, Mangalore air crash. So we intervened, NIMANS intervened along with the district administration of Mangalore, along with Roshni Nilaya, a college in Mangalore. So what happened was we actively involved students of social work to actually in psychosocial care, and through them we provided psychosocial care to the families because 158 breadwinners were lost. So it means the father or mother was lost who were returning from Dubai to Mangalore and Kasaragod. So this happened in 2010, I think, 2010 or something. So after that, 3-4 years back, after some one tanker actually overturned in Mangalore. Some 16 people or some people died. You know who was the person actually who went and provided psychosocial care? The person whom we trained actually in this Mangalore air crash at the community level. They were the one to first respond. Again, I will recall another incident which happened in Himachal Pradesh, whom we trained actually many of the community level volunteers, workers, grassroots level workers on basic psychosocial care for different disasters, maybe actually avalanche, maybe actually whatever the hill states actually have it. So there was actually 2-3 incidents happened in Himachal. One is actually a Kangra bus accident. So there actually our people who are trained actually were the first people to actually provide psychosocial care along with the rescue. Because in Himachal, Uttarakhand and all, bus accident happens, 30-40 people die, not like the other places. So, and again, the same people actually were very much instrumental in providing, handling the relief, this COVID wards during the COVID time in Himachal Pradesh, in Shimla and all. So this is how actually that you need to actually network with the locally available resources, and that resources actually needs to be actually always in sync with the local requirements and working along with them. And they are actually the people actually who can be sustained like this, and they are the people who come in handy. Outside professionals, I go to all the disasters, but after that I will come back to Bangalore. So it's ultimately actually that the local people have to handle it. So identify actually that what are all the resources which I'm talking about it. So it's NGOs, it's local institutions, local government resources. So many of them are there actually there. For example, government-run homes are there. So there are actually counselors are there. So we need to actually train those people, work along with them. They are already carrying certain capacities on psychological front for the people who are actually facing certain situations. So along with that, if you are a trained person, you can just go along with them and work along hand in hand with them. So that is how actually disaster management is nothing but coordinating with the different sectors. So integration. So the interpolability, we call it. So that is where actually that how we can actually do it. So like we have to be like an army. Now we are actually talking about theater command. Theater command means just not only the infantry, when people who are actually on the foot. So it will be people who are with the drones, people will be with the boats, people will be with the missiles, people will be. So everybody will be in that group, like a cricket team. There's not only one bowler. There may be a face bowler, maybe a spin bowler, maybe a leg spinner, maybe a off spinner, maybe a left hand bat, maybe a right hand bat, maybe a middle order. So all these things comprises of actually a cricket team. So what is my point here is that you need to actually work along with the different people, but integrate this one. You are like a captain actually there. Means captain means can go into all the people, talk like that. So you are a psychosocial care, you can talk to anybody actually. That everybody has to include this component. So that is how actually that you need to look into it. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you, sir. I think what you've suggested is a good idea, and that's something Sphere India can potentially look at some kind of mapping, pre-preparedness mapping done with state IAGs, so that at the time of disaster, there is a ready reference available in terms of who are the stakeholders. So I think this has been a really interesting insight. So thanks for sharing.
That thing, I mean, IAG is already there. You deal with the
Yeah.
IAG, IAG will take you to the incident commander, district collector. So that's
Right.
it. Yeah. So there is a good coordination happened. Even in Kerala, actually, they were there, and
Yeah,
many
I
people
think Kerala
everywhere.
is one of the really good examples on how this coordination was successful, and it still continues to be there.
Right, right, right.
Thanks. I'll keep saying.
So I will stop it now for time being. Then I'll hand over the session to Shanti. Shanti will talk about the techniques and thing. Then we will actually again you can put questions based on that, and then I will answer that. Thank you.
First thing, yes, please. Okay. Since we've had a good length of discussion on integrating various stakeholders into your disaster management and preparedness plan, now we will look very briefly and very quickly due to the paucity of time. I think by 4:30 we should finish. We'll look very briefly and quickly at the various possible techniques that can be provided, strategies that can be provided towards helping people in distress due to emergencies and disasters. Okay, so we are looking at techniques that are a little elaborate, that would come in probably in the next set of slides, whereas this set of PPTs has techniques, strategies, and certain skills that you can use for providing very, very brief and immediate resolution of distress among people who are victims of disasters and emergencies. Okay, so we start off with.
Can I confirm it? I just.
Can you see the slides? Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Okay, great. So the first set of techniques are called psychosocial first aid techniques. Okay, so what is first aid? When you listen to the word first aid, what comes to your mind? What comes to your mind when you listen to the word, when you hear the word first aid? Let it be medical first aid you would have given to a kid, first aid that you would have helped somebody with. So what does first aid mean to you? What is it necessarily?
Immediate response, the first very initial support.
Okay, it is a first initial support. It is the way you respond. The first primary response to any incident is called first aid. Okay, anybody else? Does anyone else want to take it? What do you mean by first aid?
CPR was giving in the image. Second one.
Yes, yes. So what does that do, sir? What does it do to a person?
If the person get heart attack, the immediate response will be doing a CPR for the
Okay.
first aid process.
Okay, so that is a first aid process. So why would you do that? To revive
Heart
the
pumpation,
person, right?
for save the life.
Exactly, to save the life and to revive the person, isn't it? Okay,
Yes.
so similarly, psychological first aid or psychosocial first aid are a set of techniques that are used to provide first-line psychosocial support for people who are affected by crisis and emergencies. Okay, so this you need to remember is not an end in itself. This is not a therapy or a helping process in itself. It is not an end. It doesn't start and it doesn't end. And when you start and when you end it, the process doesn't help a person with redressal of his emotions, negative emotions, or redressal of his sadness, or redressal of any other negative feelings that the person has. It just helps you start it off. Okay, so that is what the third sentence explains to you. It is a window into the psychological frame of a person. Okay, frame of a victim. It is not the full picture. It is just a window. It helps you peep into it. Okay, it is provided immediately after a disaster or a crisis. It is not one thing you need to remember. Any first aid is provided immediately. Immediacy and urgency of the care is important here. So similarly, psychosocial first aid is also, it becomes more effective, it becomes pertinent when you do it immediately after a crisis or a disaster and not when you prolong it, not after 4 weeks, not after 6 months. You should do it immediately. So that is why it is very, very important. The immediacy is important. To define psychological first aid, it is a human supportive practical assistance which is non-intrusive and which is very, very practical for the person who is in distress. So it's before we learn any technique, before we learn to do any technique, it is important for us to know what this particular thing, what this particular technique is not, what this particular skill is not, what doesn't it comprise of. So you need to understand that PSFA is not something only professionals can do. Laymen can do it. Volunteers can do it. People who do not have a proper training in counseling or psychology can offer this very easily. It is not professional counseling, and it is also not a therapeutic clinical intervention. This is not psychological debriefing also. And here you don't ask your counselees or your victims to speak about the order of during the disaster. It is not about forcing people to tell their particular stories. It is just listening to the person, and it is free flow of information. It helps in many things that we will see what all things that helps in, but this is something you need to understand. It is not also asking how the person feels. So during PSFA, you usually don't ask how the person feels. You just ask him to talk whatever he or she wants to talk. Okay, what is the aim of PFA? It is assessment of needs. I'm going to be very, very quick. So during the question and answer session, you can come back if something is not clear. Because of the time, I am going to really rush through the PPTs. So please bear with me. It is assessment. The aim of PFA is to assess needs and concerns of the community, of people who live in the community and who are affected by disaster. It is helping people access their basic needs and also to address their basic concerns. It is about listening and definitely not about asking or pressurizing people to speak. There is no force in it at all. It is about comforting people and helping them to feel calm in the first place. It also helps people to connect to information services and the support systems available in the community. And it also helps you to protect them from further harm that can occur in the community after a disaster. So the key guiding principles include these two, but they are not actually limited to these. Be tolerant to differences. This is common counseling principles you can apply, but these are specific things that are related to PFA. Be tolerant to differences irrespective of religion, caste, language, regional boundaries. Be tolerant to the cultures that different people in the community belong to. Keep up your boundaries, always maintain your boundaries. Respect people's privacy. If somebody doesn't want to talk, you'll have to allow them their space and ask these questions a little later. Know when to ask for help. In case you are not able to help somebody, you are expected to help them, refer them to somebody else. Okay. What is the last one? Talk.
It's take.
Huh?
It's take, I think.
Okay. Take? No, I think it's talk.
Take care of yourself.
Okay, take care of yourself. Self-care. Thank you. So self-care is also very important for a person who engages in psychological first aid. It is not only about caring for others. Okay. So why should we do psychological first aid? Like the person who provided first aid to someone who has a heart attack, to revive the person, to provide immediate help before taking them through an ambulance to a doctor or to a hospital setting. When you're doing psychosocial first aid, why should we do it? Why is it important? So it has been proven, and you would have also seen in your experience in working with emergencies and disasters, people who have been exposed to trauma and crisis can do better, can feel better if the following is provided to them. If they feel safe, if they feel connected to others, they can feel calm and helpful, hopeful. If they can access to social, physical, and emotional support, they can do better and they can overcome their distress immediately. And if they regain a sense of control, we talk about self-efficacy. No, people who have a bit of knowledge on counseling will be able to appreciate the concept of self-efficacy, the thought of the concept and the ability to be able to regain control yourself, control themselves, being able to control yourself and achieve something better, regain a sense of control over one's life, and by being able to help themselves. So if somebody feels safe, if somebody feels calm and hopeful, if somebody feels supported socially, physically, emotionally, and if somebody is able to regain control of their lives to help themselves, people who even have gone through huge amount of trauma, who have gone through very debilitating disasters, can rebuild themselves and can rebuild somebody else's community and their own lives. So that is why PFA, psychosocial first aid, is very, very important. Okay. So who, when and where? Who should provide? Who should be given this psychosocial first aid? People who have recently experienced a crisis event and who are distressed. No, if you don't see distress in someone, you don't have to force yourself and say, come, I will talk to you. I'm here to listen to you. You can come and talk to me. So if somebody does not show any symptoms of distress, you can just leave them. But if somebody has someone undergone trauma, has somebody witnessed something very, very distressing, a crisis event, we understand that they would have some amount of distress in them. And if they want help, this PFA is an effective, brief way of helping them out. When should you do this? Encountering a person in distress immediately following a crisis, you should do it. And where you can do it, anywhere it is safe for the person and for the person who's providing it, and there is a reasonable amount of privacy, you can do this. Okay. Right. So people who've been affected by disasters, it is shown that communities, people and families affected by disasters, around 100% of them require help for good humanitarian practices, like their basic needs have to be met. They should feel safe. They need their basic needs like a need for food, shelter, etc., etc. So all of them would require these needs and some amount of safety, some amount of security, and their dignity has to be protected. So 100% of people who suffer a disaster need all these things. Around 30 to 50% of people require help that is aimed at strengthening community and family support system. Say, for example, they would need some amount of community rebuilding. Their social networks should be reactivated. You should help them rebuild their social network. They should be, say, for example, you help them develop a child-friendly spaces, or you help them develop a group, a self-help group for women who can speak and share about the various difficulties that they face in the aftermath of a disaster. So around 30 to 50% of people in the community who have suffered a disaster would need these things. Whereas 15 to 20% would require focused psychosocial support. Say, for example, PSS or psychosocial care or our own psychological first aid is required for these people to because their basic emotional and practical support is required to selected individuals and their families. So these techniques, strategies, and skills are aimed at helping these 15 to 20% of people. Only 5 to how much is that? What is the percentage of this? Okay, only 3 to 4% of people who suffer a disaster or who have experienced a disaster are clinically distressed, would have clinical symptoms. So only these only a very, very small proportion of people would require referral to clinical services for redressal of their distress. So this is what you should remember. Around 15 to 20% of people would require focused psychosocial support. Okay, so you would have been, I'm sure you're all very, very aware of various responses, which are biological, emotional, cognitive, physical, etc., which are response and reactions to disasters. And I'm sure during your full length session with Dr. Rajamanigandan and Alan would have been covered, and also in this recap sessions, it would be covered. So I would skip this PPT. So what are the basic principles of PFA? The basic principles of PFA is very, very simple. And that is why this particular technique or this particular skill is generalizable to everybody, and everyone can use it and practice it. This starts from preparation stage and goes on until the linking stage. So the basic principle encompasses of preparation, looking, listening, and linking. So look, listen, and link are the various principles that you should remember. Okay, so in preparation stage, what would you do? What would anybody do before getting into a disaster community which has suffered a disaster? You would prepare for it, right? You may not have been a part of the community. You would have just heard about the community and the disaster through news media, through a debriefing which was given to you, through a friend or something else like that. So instead of going there and being blank about what to do and how to do, it's important for you to learn about the crisis itself. Make yourself aware of the resources and support that are available in the community before you launch into the community and the region, and learn about the safety and security concerns of people who are living in that place. So preparation is extremely important for you to help them better. Okay, next is looking. So what does looking mean? Observing for safety, observing for urgent basic needs that the people would have, observing for people with serious distress reaction. So what may be these various distress reaction in the aftermath of a disaster? So can we have a couple of you telling us? What are serious distress reaction that any person would exhibit as a response or reaction?
Anxiety.
Anxiety, very good.
Anxiety, fear.
Fear, very good, yes. Anyone else? Sorry? Okay, so anxiety, fear, excessive crying, having tremors, having flashbacks, not being able to sleep, not being able to eat, no, being very, very aggressive, getting into catatonia, not speaking, not socializing, getting into mutism, elective mutism, selective mutism. So there are n number of reactions and responses that somebody can portray, and it will not go unnoticed, of course. But these are very, very serious distress reaction that somebody is having. So these people will not come to you for help. You may have to go to them for help. And urgent basic needs. So what are the basic needs that a person or the community has? Is there food for all? Is there clean drinking water for all? Is there shelter for everybody? So these are the things that you will have to look for. Okay, so indicators are these things. Indicators of physical health, physical safety, psychophysiological distress which may be present in the people, and cognitive and intellectual functioning, how is it? Affective and behavioral expression, are there any difficulties in the person who's coming to you for help? Interpersonal resources, how is his or her interpersonal resources, and what are the various material resources that are available in the community? So these are the things that you may have to look for. So this is again, I can share the PPTs with you a little later, but right now we cannot go into each of these. I will quickly go through it. Okay, so it is also in this phase important for you to prioritize. what is important for these people. You can ask the person what is important for them. So you can ask them to make a list of the various things that are important. Is the basic need important? Is the relational need important there? Is not being able to go to school important there? Is not being able to rebuild livelihood, restart livelihood important there? So it is important for a helper for you to look at the various needs that the person has and help them prioritize it. So while prioritizing, you can address it one by one. Okay, and also you have to look at vulnerable groups. Who are certain vulnerable community? Who are people who are at risk in the community? Like how Dr. Jayakumar was talking, you look at women who are pregnant, women who are single mothers, who are widowed. You look at people with disability. You look at sexual minorities. You look at people who are living with HIV, people who are mentally ill, who and all other conditions, people who are elderly. So all these groups of people who are in the community comprise of the vulnerable group. Okay. The next important principle is listening. So what would you listen to? Reach out to people who may need support. Ask about their needs and concerns. How would you ask about somebody's needs and concerns? Okay, how would you ask? And this is a question I am asking you. So when you want to listen to them, you're here to help them. So you will tell them that you're here to help them and you are interested in helping them. And you'll ask them how you could help them, right? So once you start off, open the plug, it will all start flowing. But sometimes it may not. Sometimes you may also have to listen to silences. You may also have to listen to body language. You may also have to listen to words that are not spoken, isn't it? So listening per se helps people feel calm and it helps them feel comfort. Okay, and that is why listening is a very, very important principle of any helping technique. It also helps you make the connection with the person. It can help people feel comfortable and at ease. So during listening, it tells them that you are kind, you're kind, and you're helping them calm, and you're also compassionate towards them. During the listening process, it's also important for you to give them very, very realistic assurances and not give them unrealistic ones. You can tell them that you will help them, but you'll provide them help which is under your control. Only within your scope you can help them. So providing realistic assurances is also an important part of listening. Okay, and very, very a small and a easy acronym that you can use for listening is the SOLAR. I'm sure all of you would have had a bit of training in counseling and in psychology. SOLAR is a very simple acronym that you can keep in mind. While listening, always sit in a comfortable angle and at a distance. Sit in an open posture with your arms and legs not crossed and open, which helps the person understand that you're open to listening to them. Lean forward, which again shows that you are interested in listening to the person time to time. And looking genuinely interested and listening attentively is important. Eye contact, effective eye contact without staring is very, very important. And also remaining relatively relaxed. As you're listening to people's distressed stories, you will also tend to get distressed. Sometimes you feel teary, you feel agitated, you feel very angry, or you feel disturbed itself. So it's important for you not to show those things to the person. Maintain a relatively relaxed posture during the listening process. So SOLAR is a very simple acronym you can use. Okay. Fine. The next principle is about linking. So what is linking? Help people address their basic needs and accessing basic services. These needs and services should be available in the community. So you can help them access these services and schemes. Help people cope with the problem by linking them with various resources available in the community. This could be as simple as giving them some information, giving them some pamphlet, or giving them an address to a particular source. Okay, so connect people with loved ones and connect them with social support. This is also very, very important. So looking, listening, and linking are essential parts of your psychological first aid. Okay. Right. Fine. So any doubts with the psychological first aid? These are very, very simple techniques, easy to use, because someone also asked for the community level workers, for people who are in the grassroots, what is the best way to handle, what is the best intervention that they can provide without training. With training or without training, with a bit of awareness of the community, of distress and of the disaster, it is very, very easy to provide PFA. Okay, so we also have certain packages that we offer to train communities, to train organizations in PSFA, psychosocial first aid. But apart from that, a small bit of concentrated intentional reading about PFA is adequate and enough to provide PFA. So that is what makes this technique and tool very, very effective. Okay, so do you have any questions about PFA? Looking, listening, and linking. Okay, this is some tips about how you can provide information. Find accurate information before helping somebody. Keep yourself updated. Make sure people are informed where and how to access services, especially the vulnerable group. Say only what you know. Don't make up information. Okay, which is very, very important in communities during disasters. Keep messages simple, accurate, and repeat open. And give same information to groups to decrease rumors. Explain the source and reliability of the information that you give them, and let them know where and when you will update them later. This is about linking. So looking, listening, and linking. We are done with PFA. Any questions? No?
From my side, ma'am, it's very clear.
It's very clear. Okay, fine. So if we do not have any questions, now we'll request your Alan to do.
Yeah, so they will have to turn on their monitor.
Come. So we'll request Alan to do a small game to break the monotony and to energize ourselves.
Yeah, so before we have this little quick energizer, I would request everyone to turn on their cameras, please. Yeah, please turn on your cameras. Okay, I see only 3 people have turned on their cameras. Could I request everyone to turn on their cameras, please? Okay. Yeah, please hurry up. We don't have much time. Yes, please. Maybe people are there to
You can start, they'll get interested and turn it on themselves.
Okay, fine. So 11 pieces. Okay.
I told you.
Okay. Yeah, so this is a very easy game. So I'm gonna name one object that might probably be in your workplace or at your desk or wherever you are located. So I'm gonna call out this word. I'm gonna say this word out loud, and then you should just pick it up and put it in front of the camera to show me. That is the game. That's the entire game. Right. Shall we have a trial round? All good? Okay. A water bottle.
Hannah.
Okay, yeah. So have you gotten the game?
Quickly, they'll have to do it quickly.
Yeah, so the catch here is the person who shows it the first wins the game. So I'm gonna say a couple of these words, and then you'll have to flash that item in front of your camera. Good? Take care. Pen. Okay. Mm,
Who you should call the name or no?
yeah, so it was first was Dwarika. So yeah, so Dwarika ji did the
Dwarika ji.
thing, and yeah,
Thank
so second Notepad. Okay, it's again Dwarika ji. Okay. Now charger, phone charger.
No one.
Okay. Oh yeah, okay. It's Sylvie Peter. Nice, good job. Then what else can we ask?
Hmm.
Keys,
What?
keys,
Okay.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
there.
Okay, again, Sylvie, yeah, Sylvie followed by Hannah. Okay. What else? What else? ID card.
ID card and
Okay, don't give up. Like, however long
Okay,
it takes.
don't
Yeah.
keep
You just have to show it in front. That's it. Okay, someone. Okay, nobody.
there,
Okay,
there,
again,
Sylvie.
Sylvie, ma'am. Okay. Phone? Or are you using your phone as your
Yes, all of them will have.
okay.
phone
So
तो है
Hannah
ही
won
नहीं।
this round. Okay. Okay, shall we end it here?
Hmm.
Plant. Plant. Nobody has a plant.
See?
Okay.
There.
Oh,
There.
Soha.
Soha. Very
Okay.
good.
Fine.
Right?
Okay, so we'll end the session here. Now over to Dr. Jaikumar.
Care strategies have to be done. We can just show it to them. முன்னாடி பண்ணுங்க.
Okay.
Okay, so before we look at the PPT, I think we'll have a quick round of discussion because this session, I'm sure, would have been covered in detail in your July session during the workshop, 5-day workshop. This is called Psychosocial Care Strategies, where they would have discussed with you about the 8 key strategies which are essential in providing psychosocial support and care for people. So can any of you recall what are the names of those strategies? Because psychosocial first aid is a prelude. So you do it as a eye opener, then you go into providing psychosocial care. And if you think these 2 strategies, these 2 techniques are not working, then we will have to make a clinical referral. That's what we spoke about, that 3 to 4% of people who are extremely distressed, who may be exhibiting clinical symptoms, for you to do the referral to a clinical setting, isn't it? So before that, what are the psychosocial care strategies that you would recall? They would have used a lot of games for you to understand that. If I can just give a clue, they would have tied somebody's eyes, blindfolded someone and made them walk in the room with a lot of obstacles. And they would have explained a particular strategy with you.
We actually had a car and driver game.
Car and driver game. So
Yeah,
what
and
did
we
that
played it
help you?
together.
Sorry, madam?
I meant we all paired up and we all were driving
Right.
cars.
You were all driving and someone was
Yeah.
car, few others were drivers, right? So what did you understand from that? So why was it used?
So
To help you
it was
understand what?
about communication, trust. So the person who was the car had a trust in the driver, and
Okay.
about how properly the communication and like the support that we are giving.
Okay, fine. So that helped you understand why communication, appropriate, effective communication is important during disaster situations to help people with their psychosocial needs. Okay, great. So what else? Because you said they used a lot of activities, right? There are around 8 techniques. So what are the techniques? First aid. Anything, it need not also be from the workshop that you attended. It could be otherwise also. So to help someone with their distress, with their emotions, with their sadness, what would you use? What are the things that you would use?
Actively listening and providing social support.
Okay. Previous. Okay, fine.
Mention.
Okay, fine. Fine. So, all right. The first thing is providing empathy. No, you remember empathy?
Yes.
Yes, yes. So empathizing, no, to help a person with by showing empathy. No, to putting yourself in somebody else's shoes, you tell them that you really care, that you understand what they're going through, and that would also help them understand, and that you're fit to help them. So empathy is one. Active listening, as someone said, is one. What are the other techniques? Adam, what are the other things that you talked about? Empathy, active listening. Ventilation is one. Ventilation, do you remember? Did you blow balloons?
Yes,
Okay. So this an exercise of blowing balloons would have been used.
and we also use that stuck example also.
Okay. Burning? No. Stove. Okay. Pressure cooker example would have been used.
Anyway, see, providing care and services, which the one part, the immediate part was already covered, psychological first aid. And a little longer term, we have certain techniques. So, see, the basic understanding here is that usually the traditional way or stereotype way of actually looking at the things are in a very, very binary way, actually, whether you are ill or you are well. But when you look into this impact of disasters, everybody requires actually a psychological care. Only the degree varies. So the basic premises of any disaster management is that whoever actually affects or experiences or witnesses disasters, some point of a time or to some extent, they're all affected. Everybody requires a care or support. Yes, everybody requires to some extent. Not everybody requires actually all the techniques, all the strategies. So it may be actually in between also, or it may be complete also, or you have to go beyond this psychological first aid or psychosocial care technique, which actually the active listening, the empathy, ventilation, social support, externalization of interest, and the spirituality component, which they must have actually already spoken to you about those things. So added to that, what are the other care techniques? Why we are actually not expanding beyond that? The point here is that you are going to work in a community and you are actually a non-trained mental health professional. I mean, you are a professional on something else. You may be a livelihood professional, or you may be actually sanitation professional, or you are actually providing compensation things, or you are providing nutrition, or you are providing education, or this is the domain actually which you are already specializing in. But along with that, you need to integrate this component and provide some sort of a psychosocial care at the community level. So for this psychological first aid and this 7 techniques of care is actually adequately can handle those issues at that level, community level, for the survivors, maybe individual, maybe family, or the community. So along with that, what is that actually afterwards? how long you can provide these care and techniques. To some extent, you can provide till rehabilitation, relief, rescue and relief. Psychological first aid is during the rescue period and all those first 15 days or something, 2 weeks. Then 2 weeks to actually 2 months, actually, that you can, depends upon the larger number of population or something, it will go like this. So added to that, you need to actually include certain more other techniques. So we will not delve into all the techniques. If you look into actually that counseling techniques, there are 20 are there are 30 are there are 40 are there, something like that. So these are all actually very, very doable at the community level by a community level worker or a volunteer who are actually working in something else. So added to that, what are the other principles of psychosocial care? How we can actually provide these things? Like already I mentioned, through whom and all. So for this, you need to actually understand actually that who is actually required actually psychosocial care. That also I told you, I elaborated actually about the different population. And most of these actually care techniques are actually group oriented, right? Like ventilation, you can actually do it individually also, group also. You can talk one-to-one, talking about how are they feeling, whether they slept, who are all there with them, and how is it actually that their health is actually over a period of a time. So this is actually one way of actually talking to them, making them to ventilate something. But this is also can be done in a group, like how they have done in your group only, ventilation. That, I don't know whether they did that game or something. So you can actually bring people together. Usually we actually bring in, for example, all the women together, making them actually to talk about it, talk about the incident, talk about that, what is that feeling, talk about that, what is that actually they're expecting. So these are all, there are actually certain processes are there. So through the group also, actually, you can make them ventilate. You can make them come out with their fear, apprehension, doubts, all those things, which will actually give them a little bit of actually the pent-up feeling can be actually exchanged or shared, or actually the doubts can be actually clarified, so that gives them a sort of sense of relief. So this is actually that ventilation is maybe individual or maybe in the group also. So I added to that that active listening. So this is also actually individually and group wise actually you can do it. So that they must have demonstrated it. But the challenge here is that when you are doing it in a community setting, this is very, very difficult because active listening actually usually advocated during the controlled environment. Like when you are sitting inside a hospital or a counseling center, it is easy because they will take appointment to me and they will come and nobody is there to actually disturb. There is a table, there is a two chairs, opposite direction, eye to eye contact, all the basic elements of this counseling and those things will be there. But in a community setting, you have to actually go to their house or go to a relief camp. You have to sit in the floor or sit in the veranda or sit near, under the tree or something. So there actually that there are possibilities of distractions, people shouting, noise, all those things may be there. So there, how you are going to actually provide active listening. So that is where actually that little bit of practice is there. One added to that, sorry, you need to be aware of the environment also, because no disaster situation would be a very calm and quiet. People it will be jostling with the activities. People will be walking, people will be shouting, going here and there, and the people will be coming. Many NGOs will come and distribute things. So it will be a very chaotic sort of a situation you will find in any disasters. So that's where actually that active listening, principles of active listening, actually that you need to be a little more careful. And added to that, empathy, of course, it's not that easy actually to empathize. So that technique comes with a practice, with a good understanding, with a sensitivity. So this is a empathy, how to show empathy. Usually we do it to our dear and near ones, mother to father, mother to the kids, or brother to the sister, or sister to the brother, or spouse to spouse. So all these things we show it in a very close circle. But when you showing it to an unknown people, a stranger, where you are actually going on a task wise, not on any relationship, this one. So this empathy actually will be actually maybe actually a little challenging and difficult. So that's where actually that you need to put yourselves. So, but one thing is one contradictory aspect which happens in any disaster is that during the initial phase of a disaster, those people who work in disasters will be very much charged up, want to actually do so many things, want to help so many people because they are actually witnessing people who are at loss, people who are crying, wailing, lost people, got maimed, injured, lost everything. So these are all some of the things actually that you can witness during the disaster. That time, by seeing this, by human nature, the altruism actually takes over and wants to do more than actually what you can actually do it. But after some point of a time, this weaning of things actually will come. After some point of time, you will realize you don't have the resources, you don't have anything. So that is actually one side of a story. But other side of a story is empathy. So sympathy, empathy, you will understand actually the difference. That's a very, very common. So how you can put yourselves into their place. For example, I will tell you, there are actually communities who are living in a landslide prone area, and they lived in generations there. Suddenly government is asking them to evacuate. So for them, leaving that place is uprooting their life, not only their livelihood, uprooting their memories, uprooting their culture, uprooting their generational roots, uprooting their identity. So psychosocial care just not talk about the psychological symptoms or reactions. There are actually other things like these are all social, cultural, and other aspects are actually imbibed into their day-to-day lives, may be actually uprooted. So that is not an easy thing. So that is where actually that triggers actually the stress. So for this, you need to actually have an empathy actually that, okay, why they are refusing, why they are actually resenting to shift out or actually getting evacuated, or they actually arguing. So there is actually some reason behind this. So that actually as a psychosocial care provider, if you have an empathy, you will be able to actually understand in a much better position. Then the social support system, one of the foremost principles is that which we are kept on telling that linking, because in any disaster, the linkages gets lost, or actually it gets weakened, or it gets eroded. So that's exactly actually that one of the basic premises of psychosocial care technique is that enhancing or bringing back actually or restoring social support system among the people. So connecting the people, connecting the people to the neighbors, connecting the individual to the family, connecting the individual family to the government, connecting individual family to the actually the NGOs, connecting people who are providing care to these people. So there is actually this connectivity comes. You feel assured, you feel reassured, and we are all actually connected. If you are not connected, how I will feel? If I'm sitting alone and talking to this one, I know that you are all connected, you are all watching me. I hope that you are all watching me. And that is actually the premises I'm talking to you. Connected. So that is where actually that the support, it gives me confidence to actually to talk to you because I feel that you're all connected there, you're all watching there, and you're all actually being there. Otherwise, I will be in distress, whom I'm talking alone thing. So that is exactly that. So bringing in the social support system is actually very, very important because the day-to-day life, normal life things actually gets affected. And the another thing is that externalization of interest. So this externalization of interest is that any disaster, one of the foremost behavioral change you can notice among the people is that not doing anything, just sitting there because they may be confused, they may be perplexed, they may not be in a position to do. Usually we say, no, after actually a spouse fights with you, You don't know what to do. Some people show anger. Some people show actually that they just go and don't want to do anything, not eating. And kids do it, no? And all of us actually do it even for a normal sort of fights. But in a disaster, when your whole life actually turns upside down, so what will happen actually? That people may not be in a position or motivation to actually do anything, move forward. So there actually that one of the important aspect is that we have to actually make them externalize their interest. So we have to, basic thing is that we have to involve them in activities. So many of you are actually representing different sectors. I don't know what all the sectors you are representing, but if you are actually in a livelihood, or if you are in education, if you are in actually child development, if you are in health, nutrition, or anything, you can actually involve these people in some of the basic activities, which we always done in various relief shelters. For this, one you need not go to a relief center only, shelter only, and to have to do it. You can be at home and still not doing anything because you are frustrated. You don't know what to do, and you are actually completely helpless. So there you go, you have to go and visit them, talk to them, and you have to actually identify some of the activities which they are culturally contextual to their experience or something. I can't put a fisherman to actually go and do something housekeeping or account keeping. So whatever the skills they are supposed to have, and whatever they are, it is available, you have to do it. So most of your interventions needs to be culturally contextual. Actually, that whether you are providing food, it needs to be culturally contextual. You can't come to a South Indian asking them to eat chapatis every day, aloo and matar every day. The same thing you can't go to Uttarakhand and Himachal asking them to eat rasam and sambar and all those things. Dosha. One day dosha can go there, but not all the days dosha can go there. So these are all some of the things. So whatever the psychosocial care intervention, you need to actually tailor according to the local needs and the population. And added to that, the last one is that spirituality. The spirituality component is one of the important component because no health is actually without mental health. And for a health definition, it is just not actually mere absence of illness or a disease. It is also actually encompassing together the physical, psychological, social, and spiritual health. So this is actually worldwide studies, evidences shows that spirituality actually reduces the stress of people, and it buffers the people against the adversities. So that is where actually that I mean we have to regain and resume these things. COVID is a good example I would recall because all of us experienced it. Many of us, none of us could go to mandir, mosque, or church during the COVID, and there were a number of people who were, I mean, hostile towards it. Why did this happen to me? I will not go to church, or I will not go to mandir, or I will not go to mosque. Or there are changes in the rituals. So the usual rituals and all were not done during the COVID. So all these things actually escalated because why we go beyond spirituality is that it actually gives I mean calmness to you. So psychosocial care is nothing but actually that it provides safety and protection. It actually also calms you down. It also actually enhances the way you respond to the situation which is actually at your hand, and also actually it buffers various further complications arising out of this impact. So this is where actually that psychosocial strategies needs to be actually looked into it. And added to that, while providing all those things, what about us? How we can actually provide without affecting? We are also human beings. We can't actually always listen to the crying, wailing nativist. I mean, this one. Obviously, those people who are actually at the community level or at the any level would be actually vulnerable, like the survivors, the caregivers. So they also need to actually take care of them. But that is actually a different area altogether. Caring of caregivers, if I get a chance, we will actually do a different session for that. So for that, how to actually take care of ourselves. But that is actually a different topic which we will handle it. But the compassionate way of providing care is actually these two things are actually important. And added to that, actually, that you need to be sensitive about information which you are sharing in psychological care, because people will try to actually, people would tend to actually come and share their personal experiences, personal feelings. So that should not be actually shared. So there needs to be a strict confidentiality to be maintained while providing psychosocial care. And also that certain ethical principles also need to be followed, like not giving a false promise to them, or not actually telling them indifferently actually that मैं देखूंगा, मैं देखा, मैं करता हूँ कुछ. Or first and foremost, don't say actually that whether you are in North India, whether you are in South India, people will say actually that in North India they said कोई बात नहीं, सब कुछ ठीक हो जाएगा. And in South India, it depends upon Tamil, Malayalam, Kannada. They will say actually that ஒன்றும் இல்லை பரவாயில்ல in Tamil. மலையாளத்தில் எல்லாம் எல்லாம் சரியாகும், எல்லாம் சரியாகும். Kannada, they will say actually that ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಆಗ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ, ಎದುರಿಸ್ಕೋ ಬೇಡ. So in Kannada, they will say like that. So everywhere actually that, see, these are all some of the very, very insensitive way of actually handling people. We don't know actually that how somebody lost some family member, everything will be all right, or you will be all right. So the best thing is that we understand your pain. It is very difficult. At this point of a time, we are with you. So these are all some of the things actually that we need to actually sensitively, have to actually express. That is where actually that it shows actually that how compassionate we are. So that exactly that. So the way we look into these things need to be changed. So I think actually that when we get a chance, actually that we will talk about all those things. 1.5 hours, we could actually cover various aspects. So thank you very much, Michelle and Hannah from Spear India, for organizing this follow to our friends. And soon we'll be actually connecting with you for some other session at that point of a time. And you have been actually patient. You have been shown good patience and good recall, actually, that I would like to say that, and many of you are in. And hope to meet you also if there is a chance in future. Both of us and our team can be actually there meeting you at the field level also. So with this, actually, that from our side, actually, that we closed this session. And if any comments, Shanti wants to do it, you can.
Thank you so much for your patient listening. I hope the refresher was useful, and the recall that you all had said and the discussions we had were useful and helps you build your strengths in psychosocial support and psychological first aid further and provide adequate care for people in distress. So thank you so much. And if there are any questions, we would be willing to take in the next 2-3 minutes. If there are any questions, please let us know. We can take it up next 3 minutes.
The only question is that when you are going to wind up. 1.5 hours.
Thank you, Amrita.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. The session was incredibly good, especially the PPT.
I think we are.
Yeah. Please go on now.
No, I think we lost you in between, Hannah. It's okay.
No.
Slightly louder, please.
Am I audible?
Yeah, it's better now.
All right. Yeah, so I don't think there is any more questions. So I would also like to wind up the session. as I said before, the session was very informative. We talked on how integrating psychosocial component, how of a cross-cutting issue area of disaster it is, and also about how to identify the people whom should we go and talk to, where, when should we talk, and also about the psychosocial first aid. It was very important. And also we talked about how to identify the most vulnerable, and a lot of strategies was discussed, and it was definitely a very good session. I would like to extend my thank you to Dr. Jayakumar and also to Dr. Shanti for giving us your time. We understand how, we can only imagine how busy your schedules are, and thank you so much for giving us this time. And we also have a recording, and we'll be uploading the session in YouTube. We hope that a lot of our members could not join because they are, many of them are also working doctors. So a lot of people had to miss out the session. So we believe that the recording will be helpful for them also. And once again, I would like to extend our deepest thank you on behalf of Sphere India and also AmeriCares for your time. And also I would like to thank all the participants who joined and actively participated in the session. And we have our upcoming session on elderly, and we'll be sending the details in the WhatsApp group soon. And I think that's it. And thank you everybody for staying back.
Thanks so much.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
And also thank you to the other, like the people who have been helping at NIMHANS for this technical support, and also to Ellen. Yeah, we have seen him after like a long month.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you,
you.
everyone.
Thanks, Tom. Bye.